Welcome to the Mum CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roach. Join me as we explore the dynamic intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship. From the challenges to the triumphs, we're here to unravel it all. Get ready for insightful conversations, practical wisdom, and a whole lot of inspiration. Let's embark on this empowering journey together. Hello and welcome to the Mum CEO. I'm your host, Esther Rose, and today I'm joined by Bay. And Bay, welcome to the show. And how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, it's lovely to have you. Could you please tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So I'm Bay. I'm 36, from Cheltenham. I have a daughter called Phoebe, who's 2. And I'm a founder and CEO of my own business called Bay's Kitchen. We make IBS-friendly, free-from foods for the whole family to enjoy together.
Oh, lovely. And the 2-year-old certainly keeps you busy in the mix of the business.
Absolutely, yeah.
How long have you been going with Bay's Kitchen then?
So I founded the company back in 2016, and then it was quite a challenge to get food products launched and find a manufacturer to work with and things. So we didn't actually launch the first products until April 2018, so 6 years ago, this last month.
And then you decided to throw a baby in the mix.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm trying to think now. So 8 years ago, so I was 28 when I started the company, and I'd been single for a number of years, and I'd always wanted to run my own business. But I had always dreamt of having a family since I was young and used to look after my cousins and things. I'd always wanted a family. And I met my partner when I was 30, and then go back. So yeah, I was 34 when I had my child. So yeah, it was kind of wanted to start the business. It was the right time. The idea came to me, so I started it. And kind of, I guess at the time, didn't really think about how am I going to juggle a business and having a family at some point one day. It just kind of escaped my mind a bit.
Yeah. How did you, so obviously you were already running the business when you had Phoebe. How did you find that sort of time? Because, one of the things that comes up a lot with women is, when they have children, the challenges they have around childcare, or just the whole mechanism of coping and still getting things to run whilst you're obviously still in that phase of the change.
Yeah.
With a little child.
I won't deny it was a challenge, definitely. I've got some employees, so at the time there were actually 4 of them, and so I knew, a lot of aspects of the business were covered because I had the team in place who'd been working with me for a while at that point. But my concern was, okay, are they going to cope without having me around? And obviously, it being your first child, I've got nieces and nephews who I've looked after a lot and things, but it's still not the same as having your own child, obviously. And so I was thinking, I'll probably not be contactable for like a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then after that they can get me on WhatsApp and send me the odd email and I'll be able to reply and things. Yeah, that doesn't happen. Baby definitely takes over your life, particularly. I mean, I've only had one, but I would have thought I'd be slightly more relaxed if I had another one. But yeah, having your first child, it definitely takes over. And so I wasn't quite around as much as I thought I would be for them. But luckily they're a really strong team and managed to cope and continue to run the business.
No, that sounds like obviously you had the right people behind you supporting you within the business and everything. And I think the advantage you have is that you started the business a few years, so you had that lead time to kind of adjust and have things in place, before you had your daughter and everything. So, with regards to obviously being a business owner, how did you find with the whole maternity leave and everything? Because that's another area where if you're employed by somebody else, I find a lot of women talk about how challenging it is, and then the risk of losing their jobs and everything. So would you say for you, you kind of managed it okay, and the advantages basically as a CEO, having maternity time off?
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to both sides, I think. And there were times when I almost wished I was employed, and so could take proper maternity leave and go off for like 9 months. But then there was also advantages of me running my own business and being able to kind of, flex about it and things. And so how I did it was I basically said I'm going to take 3 months maternity leave, and then come back part-time and sort of phase my time back in from there. And so the advantage of doing that was that I actually continued to pay my salary for those 3 months. So you get the government money back for the first, I think it's 6 weeks or something. And then after that, I knew I'd be kind of working anyway. I'd be, dipping into the odd meeting or the odd email here and there, which after the first few weeks, I was doing. But yeah, the first couple of weeks, I didn't get in contact at all. But and then, it's difficult because you can set your own sort of flexibility being a business owner, which is brilliant. But at the same time, there's a group of us that joined a private antenatal course. So there were 7 of us all together, and I was the only one that was going back to work in after 3 months. And I think one of them took 6 months, most of them took 9, and then 1 or 2 of them took a year off. And I really felt that, and they were all meeting up with their babies, and I was trying to flex my work around so that I could go and meet them and then work a few hours later that day or whatever, so that I wasn't missing out too much. But it was definitely hard to try and juggle new mum life, trying to socialize with my new friends and get the babies all together, and then try and run a business. And that's where the whole mum guilt, work guilt all, started to come into play. So yeah, there are definite pros and cons to both sides of it, whether you're employed or you run your own business. Yeah.
Wow, it's interesting, some of the things you've mentioned there, with obviously the whole balance and meeting other people and how everybody takes different times off. How have you managed to make it work? Because obviously Phoebe is 2 now, and how have you found the whole balancing act? Have you got certain things in place that you'd say work better for you?
Yeah, so in that first year, so I had those 3 months, and then I went back part-time. What did I do? I think I did 2 or 3 days a week in the August, and was using a bit of holiday and things as well. And then I think it was 3 days in the September, and then my partner actually managed to get parental leave, so he actually was off work from the October through to the January. So he was looking after her, and so it was only those 2 months, August and September, and we just relied a lot on family and friends, well, family mainly, to look after her. And then I was just doing some work whilst hopefully she was sleeping and things like that. So we kind of juggled it a bit between us. And then he had the time off, and then when we both went back to work, we both said, okay, we're going to do 4 days a week each. So we both, and that's what we've continued to do. So we have 2 days where she's at home with one or other of us, and then we have put her in nursery 1 day a week, and then the other 2 days she's with family members, one on my partner's side and one on my side, and that's how it's worked since then. We're really lucky that we've got family close by. My sister has her on a Monday, and my sister, she's just got the 1 child and 1 boy. and never went back to work on Mondays when she used to do 4 days a week when he was little. He's now nine now. And so she now has my daughter on a Monday, and it's her kind of way of having another like young child without having to have another child. So she absolutely loves it, and so that works perfectly for her. It works perfectly for me. And Phoebe gets to spend a lovely day with her auntie, and then sees my her cousin when he comes back from school and things. So we've found a system that works. And she seems very happy and very willing to go to family. So I think that's one of the benefits of me sort of passing her over from a very young age at 3 months, where she got very used to that very quickly. And where some other in the group that I'm in, you know, they've struggled a little bit more, where they try to do that later on, or you know, they'd never stayed with family or something, and so it was more of a struggle. So I think that was a positive to come out of a very hard choice of having to go back to work after 3 months and leave a tiny 3-month-old baby with family for the first time.
Yeah, and like you said, that you're quite lucky that you've got the family, because you know that's another area where a lot of people are so far away from their family. So you're really, really lucky that you've got that support network on the doorstep, really, for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it saved us an absolute fortune in nursery fees.
I was just about to come on to that, the nursery fees
Mm.
are just horrendous now. And it's like sometimes you have to weigh the option whether you're better off working or actually being there for the child. But you like you said, with the business, that's one of the things you have to consider. You can't just close the business down because of
No.
so yeah, quite a lot to go on there. So, you know, with your you've touched a little bit there on obviously like the business and stuff. You know, for the benefit of the audience, if you can just explain a little bit about your focus on what you're offering with regards to the products that you do specifically, you know, and what
Yeah, sure.
inspired you to do that.
Yes, so I was diagnosed in 2015 with IBS after about 3 years of suffering really bad symptoms, and it just got to a point where it was ruining my everyday life, and I thought this isn't normal. I need to go and do something about this. So had lots of tests and things with the doctor, and was told I had IBS. And I was put on medication, but also told that this FODMAP diet would help. I was like, FOD what? So I went off and did all my research about IBS, about this diet. And it basically, you do it for 2 to 4 weeks to see if your symptoms improve. And it's removing hard to digest ingredients. So things like onion and garlic that are in pretty much everything are actually really difficult for the body to digest. So I went on a search for convenient, tasty products, but that suited this diet, and there was nothing available at all. So I started making a few of my own, and realized that actually you can still make really good tasting food without those key ingredients. And knowing that, so through my research, found that 20% of the population suffer with IBS, and actually even more suffer with other gut related conditions that would have similar symptoms. I realized there's a huge market of people suffering like I was, that these products would benefit from. And that was basically where the idea came to me. And since then, we've certified them as gluten-free and dairy-free as well. So we try and cover lots of different dietary requirements and bases, but we really, really focus on taste to try and make sure that you know, you're already compromising on what you can eat within your diet. You don't want to be having, you know, bad tasting food. Like, you know, years ago they always said everything that was gluten-free tasted like cardboard, for example. So I was really, really keen that we had really good tasting food, but that was suitable for everyone to enjoy. And the key point to that was that it might only be one person suffering with IBS or celiac disease or whatever in the household, but I wanted to be able to create a product that everyone could enjoy together. So whether you're on the diet or not, that it's a really tasty product to bring people back to eating the same meal together. So that's kind of our mission with Bay's Kitchen.
Well, it's been I've got a coughing fit that's just decided to start. So it's you know, with your journey and obviously creating and the research that's gone into it, you're making your products here, obviously.
Yes, so we outsource to a manufacturer, but here in the UK, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very, you know, it's one of those areas because my husband actually suffers with things, but those two ingredients you mentioned, the onion and the garlic, that's his favorite. That's what he likes, you know, onion sandwiches,
Yeah.
those kind of things. And but he suffers afterwards, you know. And
yeah, it's mad because garlic is meant to be brilliant for gut health and things, but actually if you've got some sort of gut related symptom, it's really, really bad. It does trigger symptoms, and on the diet you're meant to take out all of these ingredients that are high in these FODMAPs, and then try and reintroduce to your personal level, because everyone's gut is very, very different. So you reintroduce to what you can tolerate, but the majority of people really struggle to reintroduce those two ingredients. They're just really high in those FODMAPs. But yeah, so many things include them, and garlic was one of my favorite ever things. You know, garlic prawns, garlic bread. I loved it all. So it was a big challenge to try and remove that from my diet. And you find it hidden in so many things. Even, you know, crisps will have onion powder in, and you know, they're hidden in different forms in so many convenient products that yeah, it's really, really difficult.
yeah, no, sounds, you know, it does sound really hard because I think the trouble is you're going to have to read everything, isn't it, before you buy it, all the
Yes.
packaging and everything, the little things you don't think of or you don't expect to find that in that particular product and everything. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot of research and stuff on your part as well. You know, so in terms of, you know, reflecting on your own journey to get you to where you are, what sort of tips, you know, what sort of things have you had to navigate, and what tips would you have for other women entrepreneurs that are kind of getting onto this journey on their own as well?
I think my biggest tip is to make sure that you are really, really passionate about what you want to do with a business. You know, it can't just be, oh, I think this is a good idea, so let's make a business, because there are so many ups and downs in being an entrepreneur, that you need to have that passion so that it gives you the resilience and the determination to get through the hard times, particularly in the food industry. I'm sure there's similar challenges in every other industry, but this was an industry I knew nothing about, so I went in quite blind to it all, and there's a huge amount of challenges sorry, to do with you know, legislation, food manufacturing, and then we're trying to do these free from, so all the legislation around allergens and claims that you're making and things. There's a huge amount of risk involved, and things do go wrong, and so I just think you need to be you know, 300% passionate about what you're trying to do, so that you've got that determination to get you through the hard times. And then when the good times come, it's brilliant, and you need to celebrate that as well. So that was something I learned early on, in that it felt like everything was always going wrong, but it was because you dwell on what was going wrong and you'd focus so much on trying to sort it out, that when the wins came, it was like, oh yeah, that was good, right, okay, let's focus on this and this. But actually, if you celebrated those wins more, it would feel like a much more even balance between the two, I think. So yeah, I learned that the hard way, of feeling like I was always sort of failing and bad things were happening. But yeah, it wasn't that. It was just I had put so much more emphasis on worrying about the bad times and not celebrating the wins and the good times. So that's another tip, is to make sure you celebrate those, however small they are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's another problem that a lot of people have. They don't celebrate the wins, like you say.
No.
Kind of like, oh yeah, that's happened next. You know, we're moving on to the next thing and dealing with the challenges and forgetting. But it's almost, I think a lot of women I know that are in business have gone through the same thing, and you kind of have
Yeah.
to program and relearn to celebrate those things, which is crazy given how much into it. And with your journey, what has been, you know, some of the rewarding things you can recollect that have happened since you launched and started your business, really?
So my dream was always to get a product into a supermarket shelf. So and that was one of the things that kept me going, was because that was my dream. I thought, well, if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it. Someone else is going to come up with my product idea and they'll have done it. And I can't bear to see someone else do it and I've given up and haven't. So yeah, one of the most rewarding things was to see that dream come true. So we launched in Ocado 3 months, I think, after launching our first sauces. So that was a stroke of luck in a way, of just really good timing with that buyer. But to see the products on a mainstream retailer online and grow with them every single year, to the point where we now have 18 of our 25 products listed with them and on their site, which is, you know, kind of unheard of, to have such a big product range with a retailer. So yeah, that's definitely been one of my biggest things to celebrate, is getting that listing and growing it as well. So, you know, a lot of people say to you, you know, the hard work actually starts after you've got a listing, and it's very, very hard to get a listing with a big retailer, particularly in food, but I'm sure it's very similar in many other industries too. But actually they were very right in that's one hurdle. It's you know, keeping listed and growing with them is another challenge. So the fact we've managed to do that over the last 5 or 6 years is yeah, hugely rewarding to see it kind of paying off, really.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic achievement and everything, you know, because you see your hard work and see the result of what you're actually doing, all those nights, sleepless nights.
Exactly. It starts to pay back a bit.
And you've got to celebrate all those, you know, all those little milestones and everything. But another thing that, you know, I always talk about is the fact that it wasn't an overnight thing for you, you know, because sometimes we see the end result, but we don't see the journey.
Yes, absolutely. And that was something that I've learnt along the way as well, and actually very recently learnt the average behind it from one of our, so we've got investors in our business, and one of them works for a private equity firm, and so they get a lot of insight into investments in all sorts of companies. But he said that the stat that they've come up with now is that most overnight success businesses are actually 10 years in the making, and we're only at year 6 of our business. So yeah, and that's an average. So some businesses take an awful lot longer than that. So, you know, there are you know, plenty of the businesses you see on things like Dragon's Den are actually years and years in the making before they've got to that point. And so yeah, it's quite easy to look from the outside sometimes and think, oh wow, they've done really well, and yet yeah, you don't understand the roller coaster journey that founder's probably been on for a number of years.
And that's where you can compare, isn't it? We're all on very different journeys, and then
Yes,
to the next level at a different stage and everything. And it's looking at what success is to you or somebody else, you know, because I think not everybody has the same view of what their success, what they regard as success is, isn't it?
Exactly. You have to set your own goals and view your success based on your goals, not on what someone else is doing or has achieved or whatever. And there are so many different factors that go into different business successes. And so trying to compare yourself to someone else is definitely not the way to go.
No, definitely not. And what's on the horizon now for Bay's Kitchen? What's coming up?
So we're just trying to grow in the UK. So we're trying to grow our listings with retailers, trying to grow our online business, and basically just our brand presence. So I've been doing a lot more things like this. So podcast interviews, lots more speaking events and things to try and get the word out there, that our products do exist, and that they can help the millions of people that are suffering with IBS like I do. So it's just about trying to grow the brand really and get our awareness out there.
And you're selling, so you've got the Ocado retailer. I shop with them. So and then you've got your own website.
Ocado. So Ocado, our own website, and Amazon are our three main retailers we're with. And then we're with quite a few different independent health food stores through a wholesaler that we work with. So a number of different smaller independent stores as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. What we'll do is when the episode goes out, I will put the link so people can know where to find your products or where to find you and everything. It's been an absolute pleasure. Have you got any tips that you would like to leave the audience with before we end our call today?
So my only I've got two tips, sorry. So one is just going back to where we were saying about celebrating the wins. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been working with a business coach and who's also a practitioner in positive psychology, and it was from her that I got this, and it was about, so every Monday I've started doing a reflection on the week before and what I'm looking forward to in the week ahead, and it's surprisingly easy to write just a couple of things from the week before and the week ahead that you would never normally just sit and look at, and you realize, okay, actually you did have a really good week, and actually I've got a really exciting week ahead just looking at that. So that's a really easy and good way to look at the positive things in your business and your life as well. It can be work and home life that you can reflect on. So I'd say that's a really good tip that I found really, really helpful, and starts the week off in a really nice way, a really positive way. And then my other tip is about, I put a post up a while back on LinkedIn about the whole mum guilt side, and the amount of ladies that came back to me and said, you shouldn't have mum guilt for working on a business when your daughter will have you to look up to, and you're growing something to help support her and give a better life for her. And I thought that was a really, really nice way of looking at it. So I think it's made me rethink those times where I think, oh, I should be spending time with her. It's not that I'm doing something else. It's that I'm trying to grow a business to grow an amazing life for my daughter, and that she will look up to and see me as that role model of having grown a business from scratch, sort of thing. So I think that was really, really nice for others to comment on that, and so I've started thinking about that too. But that would be another tip to pass on to other mums out there.
No, that's two really, really brilliant tips as well. Excuse me. And for anybody who's looking at the whole mum guilt thing, it's a massive topic, and it seems to come up over and over again when I speak to guests, and but the bottom line is they come back to the same conclusion that you had when you did your LinkedIn post, where people are talking about obviously they're making certain sacrifices and working towards certain things, but it helps and benefits the children in the long run. So it's kind of like having that, the positive outlook of why you're doing what you're doing, and hopefully, it does help and inspire the children as they grow up as well. So, two amazing tips that you've given the people there. So thank you so much, Bay, for having a great chat today and telling us so much, pretty much, and sharing obviously what your journey's been like, and the fact that it's not a whole overnight success thing. It's about working and having that passion, like you said, at least have that 300% passion, because without that, you're not going to go anywhere. You don't get driven to sort of want to develop and move forward. So that's really, really great. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks so much for having me as a guest. I've really enjoyed chatting to you.
No, thank you so much.